Hi there, and welcome to the first devlog of the untitled indie game I'm working on. Yeah, I really just needed to make this video mainly because I'm about to change something uh, quite a bit, and it felt kind of silly to basically take the base that I'd already started building and not show at least what I'd originally created. So yeah, thought, well, this is the best time to start a devlog and show what's going on. So the game concept itself, it's pretty simple. It's a maze defense game. If you don't know the term, it's basically tower defense, but you can put your towers anywhere. It's a little different from that though, in that this is more being very similar to a RTS in that it breaks a lot of the conventions of a tower defense or maze defense game, but it is a defense game. So you build a base and you slowly start accruing power and making the base bigger and bigger, and then the people coming to get you get stronger and stronger. And the idea is to basically last as long as you can, with difficulty basically changing the feel of gameplay. So on casual, the easiest mode, the bad guys would take a long time to start increasing in power, and they'd come often enough but in small enough groups that wouldn't be much of a problem for you. You'd be able to play it quite slow and casually, and then of course you go to hardcore mode and they're going to start leveling up really quickly, and being very efficient with all your resources will be the key to getting a high score in that. So the main goal is to just get a high score. It's similar to how you have a single battle in RTS, only that you might actually play this over many hours, as you are trying to basically get to a point where your dungeon or sanctum or whatever you want to call it is super amazing and OP, and all of the heroes have a hard time to get through it. So yeah, you might be wondering, talking about dungeon or heroes, so the name of this is called DK Game Test 1. I know, like, very creative. The DK is for Dungeon Keeper though. This game is to have a very similar sort of feel. You're one of two demons coming to the mortal realm, hoping to set yourselves up and kind of become your own kings. And of course, as word spreads about your little dungeon that's being created, obviously adventurers and heroes coming on to try and stop you. So let me just see if I can press play. I'm noticing an error in here, so I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I've apparently got an error already. I didn't know that was a thing. Alright, so there we go. So went ahead and fixed up the error. I forgot that I'd started writing a function, and I'd literally just had the shell of the function there and absolutely nothing in it. So let me do, yeah, so I did bother to put AWSD in. As you can see here, this is a very basic starter map. I even set it so that there was a slight, the tiles are being slightly spread apart a little too much, just so I can very easily see the line. But basically this is how the game would start, minus the terrible UI. And you start with your little place here. Let's actually size this window better so it's a bit easier to look at. Obviously this is very early, so everything kind of looks basic, using open source sprites, just to put in place and get a feel for the game. Using nothing but blocks seemed a little pointless. I'm quite used to programming prototypes like that. But part of this I knew was going to be the feel of it, and also there's only a certain number of colored blocks I can make out there, so being able to have different things seemed like a good idea. So anyway, so you see health, you see energy, and you see life, and that might be confusing that there's health and life, but this will make sense in a second. So we can select tiles currently, and as you'll see, we're getting different info over here. We can go ahead and close this and it deselects. I'm actually new to Unity. This is the first actual project I've tried coding with it. Everything prior to this has just been a little bit of mucking about and playing around. So yeah, but This is my first serious attempt at a full-fledged game, and so you'll see, right, so down the bottom here we see the type of tile, and above we see what's on it. So in here, desecrated, ground you have claimed and infused with, some of the text cut off, but yeah, anyway, so you might be seeing the Dungeon Keeper influence there. So you're about to see what I had to change before in a second, but as you can see, my interactions here are currently working on a tile by tile basis. So I click something and I get options and information. I came to the realization as I was starting to work on implementing creatures that while I want the creatures to be single tile elements, I don't, however, want all buildings to have to fit within a 1x1 tile. I've coded plenty of RTS systems before, so having a build select is pretty easy for me. However, it's something I didn't think about beforehand, so I actually started coding this with just simply clicking on tiles. But as I said, I'm new to Unity, I'm getting used to it. I do know how to code in C#, not pro level, but you know, good enough to get by. So yeah, anyway, and as you'll see here, the option that you'll get in here depends on what you're clicking on. So if there's a building that I can click demolish, I should actually probably stop the fact that you can demolish what currently sits as the main shrine, your kind of heart, like in Dungeon Keeper. If this is destroyed, you are destroyed. This is where your demonic soul is kind of being tethered to the mortal realm. And underneath is desecrated, so we can desecrate out from there on tiles next to it, not tiles that are not next to desecrated. So we go ahead and sure enough, it costs us 10 energy, MP, whatever this will be eventually called at some point. So yeah, we can, and as you see now, these tiles are also able to do desecration. And now that it's desecrated and it's empty, we don't get demolished, we get crates. So we can go ahead and that is interesting. Those were not sitting there last time. Yeah, that's interesting. I've had some real issue with trying to figure out how UI stuff works and placement. These guys, it's really fiddly just to get these buttons here, and now they're not even placing in the right spot. So I have no idea what I'm doing. You know, still very new to this. Yeah, so I have over a decade, well, almost not 20 years, but over 15 years of programming experience in a variety of languages, and mostly for video game companies, though not large ones, mostly edutainment, you know, kids, educational games, and gambling as well, you know, slots and roulette and all that, you know, sort of thing that you get when you're, when you're just some random guy, you know. So anyway, so we have these options here, and if I go ahead and click one, it gets built, Dark Converter, no info for it yet, I haven't bothered putting that up, but if we go ahead and desecrate, yeah, the Dark Converter does increase that, but we have to actually create quite a lot of them, so yeah. Oh, funny thing is, I put the cost of 10 in, but then I took the cost out, but it still ends up, I left it in with still having to require more than 0, so I can go to below 0, but yeah. This was working, but because I didn't want to have to wait the whole time that it takes for the energy bar to fill up, sort of removed it, so I could just do a bit of testing quickly, but yeah. These don't have a cost either currently, you can just pop them out, put whatever you want wherever you want, so that's stuff that needs to be put into the object data. Everything in this stored in a different way. So yeah, you can see there, Dark Vessel, when we created that, it actually increased our energy cap, the maximum amount of energy we have. So yeah, one other thing that you'll see in a second, so as I said before, this health value and this life value, you might think, well, that's a bit weird. But life is actually something different. So we see here we got grass, stuff that grows on the dirt and has a small, again, description's missing, you know, bits that I have to fix up, but yeah, it says that it has a small amount of life essence. So if we desecrate this, we actually gain 1 life, and so this will be kind of a key strategy in order to progress further in the game, while structures themselves will almost entirely only cost just energy to create. In order to create units or any kind of special sentient structures, we will need life energy, and you can only get life energy a bit from the ground, such as these grass tiles and eventually trees when I put them in. But then you'll have to start getting your creatures to kill other things. So like if there's a rabbit wandering near your dungeon, you go ahead and you get one of your guys to go and attack it and bring it back to your heart, and it will basically sacrifice it and absorb its soul / life / whatever you feel like calling it. So yeah, kind of dark in that sense, but if you know Dungeon Keeper, this is all kind of done in tongue-in-cheek kind of dark humor. Yeah, so this is where it is so far. Like I said, I wanted to just get a demo of how it currently works. You can see there now that is really going up much faster now because all of these dark converters are helping generate more energy. I do believe I also put a wall in, so yeah, there's a wall currently, and of course you can demolish it to get rid of it. So that's what that is. So you can see that as it is currently, having to do everything tile by tile is annoying. In earlier versions of this game, I actually have created a ton of top-down RTSs, just never completed, but I just always had fun building the mechanics of them. And one of the original versions of something like this, you would actually spawn in a void, and around the center you would slowly start expanding territory into an open void. You're essentially creating ground, a sort of thing, and it's colored with whatever your team's color is. And then you would have to build new towers within that area in order to start populating more of the void, and then if the AI managed to connect with your terrain, all the bad guys on it would suddenly swarm. I don't have that anymore. A lot of my old games were created in Flash. I was actually a Flash programmer for like 7 years professionally, and that obviously fell apart because Flash is a dead tech now, so a lot of what I do is either JavaScript or C#, and then a bunch of other things to do with back-end stuff as well, and obviously all the regular front-end stuff for when you do web pages and whatnot. But yeah, so this whole single tile select thing is not going to work. We need a way that if we wanted to build a lot of walls, I don't want to have to keep going like this, desecrate, no, we don't want to do that. It's too much. And like I said, I wanted to be able to place down bigger structures than these 1x1s. So yeah, something else we'll have to do. Just wanted to get that extra life energy. So yeah, that's where I'll be moving on to next. I'm going to try and keep to a schedule of about 1 hour of work after every day of my regular work. I'm a programmer professionally, so yeah, I'm usually pretty zonked by the end of the day, but honestly this stuff is just too enjoyable. And honestly, it doesn't look great now, but even if I had to stick with these as the graphics, I'd still really enjoy playing this game, because I really like these kind of defense games, especially maze defense games. I'm always quite saddened that people just go for straight tower defense. I know they're easier to make, I know, but maze defense always offers way more variance in the gameplay options. Oh, and another aspect of this that you probably wouldn't see in anything, even Dungeon Keeper itself, is that you will start to actually descend levels. So this hasn't been coded at the moment. As it is now, we only have one map, and you have the blue void on the outside that just comes with the default way that Unity projects are set up. But so the idea would be sooner or later you would start to move this down. And as you do, you would want to create staircases that would lead between levels. So what you could actually do is eventually have a very deep dungeon, and the enemies would have to come in and try and figure out where to go. I don't want the enemies to have any kind of crazy intelligent pathing, similar to more like an RTS. I'd rather that they just try and go for what they see as the goal. So if the shrines are on their current level, they try and go for roughly where they think the shrine might be. If not, then they go for where they hope the stairs will be. I would like to make it so that the AI in general has a kind of slowly figuring stuff out. I would like it to actually work in that you would have heroes come in, they would try to bust into your dungeon, and once they start to get their butts handed to them, they would run off, and if they successfully run off, that means that the heroes that will come next time will be more educated and thus much better to strategize. However, I really just want to get this out as a first easy playable demo. Like having the first version of this unnamed game just come out and be something playable, just want to be able to release something. So yeah, so that sort of thing probably won't happen. The AI will simply just try to walk to the center of the map or walk around the map trying to find locations, and if it finds the shrine, the heart basically, or if it finds stairs, it will automatically go and explore those and start tearing things up. Because unlike a lot of other things like in tower defenses, this is where it's more like an RTS, is that these walls would be destructible. Granted, a wall should be a very hard thing to break. You would need someone who has like a warhammer in order to break through it. But rather than it just being, okay, I've created this crazy course and they're absolutely forced to wind their way through it like you might in Maze Defense, a little more like RTS in that if they feel like breaking through it's a good idea, they will. If not, they'll keep searching around for other areas. It's also unlike Tower and Maze Defense games. I don't want to have a wave indicator. I don't want this to really work in waves. It will work in sort of a wave system, but rather I don't want the player to know, because then that takes away the ability for me to do things like stealthy heroes who maybe come in with a cloak of invisibility, and you don't see them until, say, they step on a pressure plate trap, or whatever else could be in the game. I plan to put an absurd amount. The way Unity's entity composition style works, I love entity composition. The moment I learnt about it, I just studied my butt off over it. But I really like the idea because it really gives you great variance in what you can build, and that's what these guys are all right now. They're just game objects. They're all game objects, but then they have different components just slapped onto them. So if I wanted to make something that was like both of these put together, I just go ahead and make a new game object, a new prefab, and then I go ahead and take the MP gen component from this one and put it on there, and the MP storage component and put it on there too, and then I would have something that would be like both of them. Yeah, so that's essentially where it's going. A top-down, multi-level dungeon creator. By the way, the multi-level part of it, as I said before, I've had lots of different versions of this game that I've designed. I never really finished building them because, honestly, I build kind of the base system and I have fun, and then I come up with another idea or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that'll be fun to make. But with this one, it's very settled on releasing it and getting it to a playable version and something that everyone can enjoy. But the actual layered system of being able to go down actually comes from, I'm a bit of a weeb, so it actually comes from an anime called Overlord, if you've seen that. But they have this place called the Great Tomb of Nazarick, which has, I think, 9 levels in it, and they're all set up differently. And the idea is that the Overlord would be at the bottom of it, and that's kind of how this game would play. You'd want to have the heart and your strongest creatures beat the absolute bottom, or you may choose to put your strongest creatures at the top, and hopefully, whittle people down to the point that even if they could get to the bottom, your weak guys sitting there could possibly gank them. There's a variety of different ways you could play this. And also with the staircases, you'd be able to have multiple staircases. So you could essentially have the route from surface level all the way to the heart, actually requiring going up and down multiple levels. For the first version, I'm not going to have multiple levels that you can see through. They're just going to be through the staircases. But in the future, I would like to have such as an area where, like, say 3 levels have a giant open space, and you have like a Balrog or something insanely huge just sitting in there, and regardless of what level you're on, you can see it and it can attack you because you're in multi-level open area. But yeah, so that's the plan. I haven't really gotten to spend much time on it. I've only probably spent about 10 hours getting this far, and a lot of that was me just learning the basics of Unity. I'm still learning the basics of Unity. There's still lots of things, like I said, I'm having trouble with textures and UI components. But you know, I'm one of those people that'll sooner or later just sledgehammer it through one way or another. I will make it do what I want. So yeah, this is where we're at, and this is about to get a massive overhaul, because no longer will it just be I select a tile. I mean, I'll still leave this in. I still want people to be able to see details about particular tiles, but differently it'll be like this. So if I click off the object, I would get the tile information. If I clicked on the object, I would get the object information. And then obviously the build menu needs to be turned into having a button in the corner that'll be like, you know, cast spell, summon creature, build structure. Just clicked the tile there. But yeah, so those will be your 3 buttons, and depending on what you click, you get the sub menu for it. I don't think I'll have so much of a level or RPG system in it for the player at the moment. I'd rather it work more on the fact that, okay, well, desecrating a tile only costs 10 energy, right? So let's just say, oh, I want to summon the most deadly creature in the game. Okay, well, summoning the most deadly creature in the game is going to cost you, I don't know, 1,000 energy, and they'll have an energy upkeep of, say, 20 per tick. And that'll be the way of gating things. You won't so much level up in a stereotypical RPG sense, but because you level up your dungeon, that's essentially how you get those statistics. You know, your energy level gets to 1,000 because you built enough dark vessels that, you know, that total starts to increase. You know, get it up to 13. Obviously these are really basic, they're only just increasing it by 1. But obviously at some point there'll be the ability to create a dark vessel that increases it by like 50, and then you'll probably want to go and demolish all your old ones and build new ones up. And yeah, they're very much sort of a free play, choose as you do, even style it out how you please. Some people might be really into traps, some people might really like creating a lot more critters, some people might prefer to treat it like one of those games where you just sling spells constantly. You know, I really want there to be a lot of variance for play, a lot of individuality in how people play it, because that's what I love in games. I love strategy games, but I love the ability to both play a strategy game slowly and casually and relaxed, or to play it as, you know, hard as I can and really challenge myself. So yeah, I guess that's enough for now. This is what I currently have, what the game basically looks like at the moment, and yeah, hopefully by next weekend. So I'm doing this Monday night, and I plan to do these every Sunday night. So hopefully by next Sunday night I will have put in the new build function, and you'll be able to see that the buildings now work differently rather than being one per tile. But I guess we'll see. I am, you know, married, full-time worker, 2 kids, you know, so my life's pretty hectic, and I get pretty exhausted. But I so love the idea of this multi-level dungeon defender game. I can't use that as a name. I'm pretty sure the Dungeon Defender is a game that already exists. I will come up with a good name. But yeah, we'll see when that happens. Honestly, the name important, but not right now. Right now, getting the game fun, getting it enjoyable, is really what the next goal is. So yeah, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this first devlog of mine. It's first one I've ever done, and probably rattled on too long. But yeah, if you like how the game looks, or just want to shoot me a message, of course you can, you know, in the comments, and any suggestions or anything, I'm more than open to feedback. I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit here going, oh, you don't understand my vision. But yeah, so say as you please in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you want. I'm not doing this for views, I'm just doing it really for documentation. Yeah, so I hope you like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out. Bye.